Okay, so I realized when I woke up this morning that I still had a lot of stuff that I think needs to be addressed with the 200th episode of Smallville. So sorry if I feel a little bit out of it, but I just wake up about a half hour ago. Okay, first thing I think we need to address here is that the episode really, the revolving lesson is that Clark really needs to learn to let go of his past, or past mistakes, as Brainiac 5 puts it. And here he really does, I think, learn that. And it's not just mistakes that he needs to learn to let go of. I think it is the past itself, because Clark really. I'll address the scene about where this is a critical point of how I think he's letting go of the past, but it really is showing Clark that he's not going to be able to become who he wants to be if he's worrying about the future and he can't let go of the past. He needs to concentrate on the present. Um, so yeah, what I want to talk about is the scene where Clark sees Ollie in the present, and he finds he's like getting basically he's getting like frigging criticized for coming out of the superhero closet, and he's realizing from Brainiac 5 that he needs to be there for Oliver, and that he needs to, like, he's been so distant from him that he really hasn't been able to help him. And Oliver obviously needs Clark right now because he's done something that he really can't walk away from. He's gonna need some support for something like this, because he's basically got the whole world against him. And yeah, this journalist or this talk show host who's like, no, she is a journalist. It's definitely apparent she's a journalist because she's got the microphone and she's interviewing people on the street. That's a journalist. That's not a talk show host. She's frigging criticizing Oliver for his choice on live television. I am in a journalism program, and that is editorial up the wazoo. And it's almost libel. She would probably be pretty fired. I'm just saying. And he's got like CNN and Dr. Phil wanting to talk to him. Yeah, I can just see Oliver sitting down next to Dr. Phil. You need to get real. Sorry, I always have to do a Dr. Phil impression when I'm talking about him. And it's probably pretty crappy, I know. Anyway, so also, the Smallville High School, the torch is obviously still going on, and it's run by two new teenagers who have actually put the what do you call it? The Wall of Weird on the web. Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting. And they actually have this theory that the Blur is somebody who came from Smallville. No. And they have this. They're kind of wondering whether he would be at the reunion even. So I thought that was really interesting. Also, they have this thing where they're like to Clark, well, it's a good thing he's not here because he would have stolen your thunder. And Clark's like, what thunder? And then you find out that Clark has been elected Homecoming King. So he's sitting there on the chair. You would have frigging... if you have not seen his face, seriously, go look for this scene online. It is hilarious the way that Tom Welling pulls it off. It was just so funny. And so, in the meantime, Lois is touring around the high school, and she was only really there 5 days. Like, Clark kind of addresses this, and nobody obviously recognizes her. And she's expecting everybody to remember her. And I thought that was pretty funny. But then she goes to this girl who's like in charge of the punch. And obviously she doesn't remember her either. And she's like, I'm with Clark Kent. And she's like, oh, Clark Kent. Oh, he was so dreamy back in high school. Woo! And of course, this is pretty much a Smallville Clark fangirl that we probably picked for an actress, or I don't know. And then like she's like, I thought that he and Chloe were gonna hook up. Oh, but then there was Lana. They were just perfect for each other. Hi, Lois is right there. You're really not thinking about how this is gonna affect her. You really have no consideration. And then she's like to her, so you're the moth, not the flame. And you're like, I think you've crossed the line here. But she's not done yet. Then she says, are you sure that Clark likes you? Lois should have friggin' smacked this lady. I probably would have in her shoes. That is so friggin' inconsiderate. That is, like, humiliating. Anyway, going back to the end scene where, the bug guy, Greg Arkin was his name. And it's the same actor. They hired this guy 9 years after we last saw him. That is dedication to your freaking art. And I think that the real lesson here, I love that scene because it's showing that Clark has affected people. And he's not even thinking just about himself. He's saying a lot of us would not be here if it wasn't for Clark. And it's showing that Clark really needs to be optimistic as Superman of people. He's not going to kind of like be like Batman and say, oh, criminals never change. He's going to see the good in people, whether they're bad or evil. Does that mean that he's going to not fight the evil people? No, he's going to friggin' beat the crap out of them when he needs to. So, yeah, basically what you kind of get here is, Tom Welling, when he plays, I'm going to call him Superman Clark, because you really don't see Superman, you just see future Clark. When he's playing him, you got this very professional demeanor that he's got to him that I just love. It really does feel like Superman. And he knows, you get the impression that he knows exactly what he's doing. And he's very bold and confident, but not overconfident. Oh yeah, and there's this, if I could pick like my favorite line that future or Superman Clark gives Clark, it would definitely be, well done, my man. That's definitely a Superman line, and I just love how he pulls it off without like being like, well done, my man, or something like over the top. It really is just, it feels natural. So going to another topic, one of the end scenes is the Torch teenagers getting a text from CS saying, thanks for carrying my torch. So this is our first communication from Chloe since she left us in Lazarus. So yeah, it's really interesting to see where they're taking that. So the last scene that I want to talk about, and I think this is definitely worth talking about. Clark goes to the grave of Jonathan Kent, dressed in the Superman costume. Or, no, sorry, not the Superman costume, his new Blur costume. I almost made you go, yeah, sorry. So what happens there is he says, like, you've always taught me that I need to stay with Smallville, but it's always going to stay with me, but I need to move on. And he's able to he says, like, he's able to say something that he's never been able to say before. And really, he hasn't been able to. And here he says, goodbye, Dad. And so at first I was thinking, wait, is he literally moving from Smallville to Metropolis? But I don't think that's the case. But I think he's definitely being able to move on from it. It's been like 5 years. He realizes that it's time to say goodbye, that the closure is over. And he actually, the watch that his mom gave him from his dad, he buries underneath the earth. So I think that that's really him saying that he needs to let it go. And I thought that was a very emotional scene. And I can see a lot of people getting a bit teary-eyed. I thought it was really really well acted by Tom Welling in this scene. So yeah, other than that, great episode. Definitely, I was about to say raise the bar compared to the 100th episode. This freaking topped, topped the 100 episode. It was awesome. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I just can't wait to see how the rest of the season pays off.